For about the last 30 days, I've been doing most of my work sitting on the floor, and it's changing my life. I feel looser, I'm moving better, I have more energy. So if you've heard that sitting is the new smoking, yeah, I heard that too, but it's not what you think. And now I have a new perspective on the issue that I think needs to be addressed, because sitting isn't the problem. It goes much deeper. So I used to have a lot of hip and knee pain that came from sitting in a chair for hours every day because I had a desk job for the longest time. I still went to the gym every day, I lifted weights, and I got my exercise, but sitting in a chair during the day was undoing most of what I did in the gym. I was still strong, but I was limited in my movement. I spent years sitting in a desk chair, and one day I read somewhere that sitting was the new smoking because of all the negative health consequences associated with it. And sitting caused me a lot of knee and hip pain because I got stuck in the same position for hours at a time, and my connective tissue, my fascia, got remodeled to hold these positions and reinforce these positions. So then it gets uncomfortable whenever I get out of these locked up positions. Have you ever gotten out of a chair and felt completely locked up? Like you just have to get up and move around a bit just to work out all the stiffness. You see, that's not normal. When natural movement is uncomfortable, that's a problem. And sitting made it to where I didn't want to move at all. And that's why it's considered the new smoking, because movement is a necessary function of the human body. If you don't move, your body will break down. So I decided to make a change, and I got my boss to get me a standing desk system. It helped a bit, even though at first it was a little awkward. It loosened my hips, it gave me some relief, but after a while I started getting tight in my lower back. The way I was standing was putting way too much pressure and way too much strain on one side of my lower back. So I wasn't really able to stand for long periods of time. I'd sit back down in the chair, up and down all day long. Now it was better than sitting all day, but the relief was short and the pain would always creep back in one way or another. Then one day I needed to get some work done. So I just sat down on the floor out of frustration, and it helped. Chairs might seem harmless. In fact, we intentionally seek the relief and the comfort that they provide. But sitting in them day after day causes problems in your body that are impossible to reverse unless you do something to change it. Because whenever you hold a position for an extended period of time, your muscle fascia basically hardens up into that position. Sitting flexes and squeezes your hips, it immobilizes your ankles, and it keeps your knees bent at the same angles all day long. And so you get locked up into these unnatural positions. And when this happens, your fascia remodels itself to reinforce these positions. And then pain and stiffness start to work their way into your joints, and you'll lose mobility, you'll lose flexibility, eventually you'll lose strength in the normal ranges, and your muscles can't support the loads it used to anymore. And then movement in general starts to suffer because it hurts to open up the joints that got locked down from sitting. And as you know, the quality of your movement is determined by the quality of your joints. And I know that for some people who work desk jobs, it's not as simple as to just stop sitting. Sure, the standing desk allows you to switch between standing and sitting, and those are great. I have a standing desk and I stand at it much more than I sit at it. Standing desks were supposed to fix some of these problems, and they do to an extent. It allowed me to open up my hips, it allowed me to move around a bit, but standing all day isn't exactly the cure because it brings its own problems. For me, it was lower back fatigue, tension, discomfort that sneaks in when you least expect it. And if you have poor posture or if you're carrying around a few extra pounds, you could be putting extra force on your spine and your ankles and your knees. So you'd just be creating a different problem without really addressing the first one. So what do? Well, there is a third option, and it's one that humans have been doing pretty much since the dawn of our species, way back before we even had chairs. We sat on the floor. Sitting on the floor gave me a new option, one that I didn't ever really consider. And it's an alternative between being trapped in a chair and the strain of standing too long. I started out with just sitting with my legs straight under a bench with my back propped up against the couch behind me. It keeps my back straight and my hips and legs in an L shape. The good thing about it is that sitting in one position gets pretty uncomfortable pretty quickly, so I have to shift around to find a more comfortable position. And it's this constant shifting and change in position that allows your hips, your knees, and your ankles to do what they need to do, to flex and extend and open up in ways that you just can't do sitting in an office chair. And my back strain eventually went away because it helped me get back to natural spinal alignment and get back to a level of mobility that I haven't had in years. Try it for yourself and you'll start to retrain and remodel your body and your muscle tissue in ways that sitting in a chair or standing just can't do. Sitting on the floor improves your posture, unlocks your hip and ankle mobility, and decompresses tight fascia because it basically forces a wider variety of sitting positions. You're constantly shifting, you're constantly moving, you're constantly adjusting throughout the day, and this is exactly what prevents muscles from locking up and fascia from locking up. The frequent movement and shifting also keeps the blood flowing, and it burns more calories than sitting in a chair, which is an unexpected bonus. The technical word for that is non-exercise activity thermogenesis. Fidgeting burns calories. You end up with less fatigue, less tightness, and a stronger mind-body connection, all without endless stretching or expensive visits for professional treatments. Here's how to start. If you've never tried floor sitting, start small. I started out just sitting on the floor between the couch and a footrest. I'd do my work here. I'd set my laptop on the bench because it was the perfect height. Before I did that, sitting on the couch with my laptop, I would notice that I would slouch a lot and it would hurt my back. But sitting up straight wasn't easy. It took way too much effort to stay in the position, and I would eventually slink down without realizing it. So I started sitting on the floor. But I started out only sitting on the floor for a few minutes at a time until I got used to it. And now I can go indefinitely. And I'm continually switching positions too. I sit with my legs straight, cross-legged, kneeling position, half kneeling position, 90-90 position. I even have a yoga block that I sit on periodically, and it sort of mimics the deep squat position, which helps me keep that position open for myself. I also notice that I don't have rounded shoulder posture anymore either. I naturally pull my shoulders back, which makes me straighten my back. And the couch behind me gives me enough support while keeping my back upright and my shoulders relaxed. Now, it takes a little patience and a little bit of body awareness to get here, and it even requires the ability to deal with a little short-term discomfort, but it's worth it. And you'll get over the discomfort pretty quickly once you figure out what works for you. Now, this practice gradually became a natural part of my day, and it's pretty much how I prefer to work now. Here's my challenge to you. Try it for yourself. Try sitting on the floor daily for just a few minutes, whether it's while you work or just to sit on the floor while you're watching TV or whatever, or even just for the sake of sitting on the floor. Anytime you feel the need to sit down on the floor, whether you're at home or whether you're at the grocery store. Okay, maybe don't do that, but try sitting on the floor. And I definitely recommend it while you're working as a much improved alternative over the desk chair and as a way to get some relief from standing up all the time. And for the record, I'm not against sitting in an office chair at all. I just don't think it's good to sit in one as much as most people do, let alone for 8 or 10 hours every day, especially when you get out of that chair and go sit in a car and then go home and sit on the couch. You gotta get up and move so your muscle fascia doesn't get locked up into tight, restricting patterns. Sitting is good for you. You just gotta learn how to sit and change your position frequently. Give it a shot, it's free. Notice how your body responds, and if it doesn't work for you, you really haven't lost anything. And if your knees hurt too much to do this, watch this video right here because it may help you out.